And good to go.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to this meeting for Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Everybody can please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Grigsby. Here. Mr. Haynes. Here. Mr. Hardy.
Here.
Mrs. Saxon.
Here.
Mr. Vaca.
Here. Finalization of the agenda.
The agenda is final as presented.
Thank you. Move right into the superintendent treasurer's report.
Absolutely. I'd like to introduce Assistant Superintendent David Freight, who would like to share with the board some thoughts and ideas about our school calendar for the 25-26 school year.
Good evening, everybody. Well,
Hello.
so it's that time of year again. Actually, we're a little behind schedule where we'd like to be, but we'd like to present the 25-26 calendar to you for your review and thoughts. And then later this month, we'd look to get football on it. So it very closely mirrors what we have in place for this school year. So we would look to start with staff on the 18th of August. We'd have 3 professional development days with the students showing up on the 21st of August. And that would be all of our students in grades 1 through 12. Pre-K and K students would actually start the following week. That gives time for assessments and placing students in classes, which is something we started a couple of years back of doing our assessments and then purposefully building our group. So we've got a holiday in early September and then our first professional development day on the 19th of September. What's critically important for these professional development days, it's critical to have them based on just some of the things that have been put in place by law over the last handful of years, whether it's science of reading, whether it's things that's wrapped around school safety, whether it's PBIS, some of those initiatives. We are fortunate in that we have a number of professional development days spread out throughout the course of the year to do that type of work. That's not the case everywhere. So we recognize that it's a challenge for our families on those days to have their students at home with them. But it is one of those things that helps meet some of those requirements that are laid out by the law. We get to October and we've actually got 2 days. One of those would be the Records Day. That would be the 24th of October, marking the end of the first quarter. The second of those then would become a professional development day on the 27th. Mr. Honores could scroll a little bit for me. November with Election Day, we have for the last several years taken Election Day off just because we do have voting in our building. So when we look at a safety factor, we look at people trying to get in and out of parking lots. That is why we have that day as a scheduled off day. And then a holiday for Thanksgiving at the end of the month. There is a 2-week Christmas break again based on where the holiday itself falls. So our holiday break would take us all the way until the 5th of January. Actually, we return. On the 9th, we'd actually meet the halfway point of the school year. So January 9th would be a Records Day. That would wrap up our semester. Martin Luther King Day, then on the 19th of January. Getting into February, we have a Professional Development Day on February the 6th, President's Day on the 16th. And then we'll get into the end of March, beginning of April. That's where we look to do our spring break. Part of that is driven by state testing. Part of it is driven by where other holidays fall in the spring. But incorporating that all together would give us the spring break plus a day. And then we would actually look to wrap up the school years for students on the 21st of May. 22nd of May would be the staff last day, and that would put our seniors last day on the 15th of May. So same number of school days that we currently have this school year. In fact, I think if you compare this year to last year, there might actually be one more student day in this calendar, but that would be what we'd recommend moving forward with. So I'd be happy to answer any of your questions before I tell you that we're going to immediately start working on a 26-27 calendar. So families can plan out 2 years, which is always our goal. We've just had some structural things that has been a little challenging to make that happen in the last years.
David, could we go back to October? There was a day that was highlighted that.
Yep.
Is it the 10th?
The 10th is NEOEA Day, which is a professional development day across Northeast Ohio.
Mhm.
So that is typically a day without students, and the staff are working in PD sessions across the area as opposed to just within the district.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And then the spring break,
Yes.
again, that was March.
That'd be the end of March, so March 30th, and that would go through April the 6th.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's Easter weekend. That's why we're not showing additional days off.
That is correct. That's why that Monday would be off for anybody that was traveling for that holiday and give them a chance to get back and get back into session. So what we've done when it hasn't coincided together is, as you know, we've taken our spring break week and we've generally done a long weekend of Monday, Friday off. So,
And then, tell me again, the seniors last day.
so seniors' last day under this calendar in person would be the 15th of May. They then on the 16th or so would come in and do the things that they do at the end of the year for commencement practice, making sure things are checked out. And then we would look to do commencement somewhere in that 19, 20, 21 range. So.
How's construction tie up in that?
So what we'll look to do, and we're a little far out for that still, so we're looking to open the building in 28, 29. If we follow a similar pattern to what we did here, we would attempt to end the 27, 28 school year as soon as we can and start the 28, 29 as late as we can to give time to take care of moves and all of that stuff. So next year at this time, we will be developing the first of that calendar that would actually be impacted by the new facility.
Thank you.
Okay, but that year that we did that to get in the new building, we were off before Memorial Day and didn't go back until after Labor Day.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you don't.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And Mr. Kurt, would you email that calendar to the board?
I sure will.
Eyes on it in case there's any questions before approval.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And that concludes superintendent's report.
Thank you. Any announcements this evening?
Just a reminder again about the state of North Ridgeville, which now I've lost the date for, someone to help me out with that.
February.
Thank you. Tuesday, February 25th. Sponsored by the North Ridgeville Chamber of Commerce. So if you want more information, you can go on their site. I think it's listed on our social media as well.
That's at 6 o'clock.
Here's an opportunity for hearing of the public. And there is nobody in attendance this evening, we're gonna move right into the consent agenda. Educational report.
Yeah. We have 3 items under the education report. We have 2 field trips to consider for approval. First field trip is a supervised overnight field trip for the NRHS choir class to travel to Chicago, Illinois for the purpose of attending Collegiate Chorale Clinic at Vandercook College of Music and for a choir performance in the Grand Hall of Field Museum of Natural History from April 24th, 2026 through April 26th, 2026. Next, we have a supervised overnight field trip for the NRHS cheer team to travel to Great Wolf Lodge for the purpose of attending UCA Cheer Camp from July 7th, 2025 through July 10th, 2025. Finally, we have the 2025-2026 school calendar. This calendar is the product of a working group consisting of district administrators, certified and classified staff. This is the first reading for these items. Second reading and consideration for approval will be at the February 18th regular meeting.
And are these, do we know, are these dates for the choir trip really 2026?
Yes, I clarified that because it was listed as 2025 on the agenda. And the proposal from Mrs. Miller says 2026, so this was corrected today
Okay.
on the agenda, so these are correct. I just thought it was a little soon.
It is, all right.
If it was this year, so I wanted,
Right.
before we,
Are they raising funds for this?
they are raising funds, they're starting now.
Yes.
There's a payment due soon, apparently.
I think it's a great opportunity. I haven't seen a choir overnight field trip.
That's great.
I don't know if I've ever.
I don't recall. It'll be a wonderful
Yeah,
opportunity.
no, I think that's awesome.
It's exciting.
Really is.
Thank you, Ms. Saxon.
Mhm.
We'll move into the communications report. Mr. Grigsby.
Thank you, Mr. Vaca. It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the following gifts with appreciation. Shane Duche and RHTA students donated $200, $100 for the art department, and $100 for extracurriculars. Cleveland Power Wash donated $500 for the NRHS bowling team. Daniel Pato donated $371 towards the NRAC Washington DC trip. Comcorp Industries donated $1,500 for the NRHS track team. Angelina's Pizza donated $598 for the NRAC Washington DC trip. The Placido family donated $5,000 for students and staff at Liberty School. NRAC 3 to 4 PTO donated $600 for PBIS prizes for grades 3 to 4. And the Phoenix Counseling Center donated $1,000 for the NRHS Future Fair. And as always, we thank our community for the tremendous support of our schools and students.
Thank you, Mr. Grigsby. Human Resources Report, Mr. Haynes.
We have several items considered for the Human Resources Report. 5 NREA supplemental contracts, 5 non-NREA supplemental contracts, 4 unpaid volunteer recognitions, 2 certified staff adjustments, 1 certified staff leave of absence, 1 support staff leave of absence. This is the first reading of these items. The second reading and consideration of approval will be at the February 18th regular meeting. That concludes the Human Resources Report.
Thank you. And we'll continue with you, Mr. Haynes.
Yes, the others. We have 2 items to consider on the Human Resources Report. 1 support staff substitute contract, 1 non-represented support staff contract adjustment. I move to approve the Human Resources items in 1 reading.
Moved by Mr. Haynes, second by Mr. Grigsby. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Haynes.
Yep.
Mr. Grigsby.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. All right, it is recommended that the Board of Education enter into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of public employees, and matters related to negotiations of public employees. There will be no action to move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grigsby, second by Ms. Saxon. Roll call, please.
That was Mrs. McCarthy.
Murphy, sir.
Mr. Grigsby.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yep.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.